fresh out the oven, straight to the bank. Bentayga smelling like dank. Seats, somebody died on them. Kitty looking like somebody cried on it. Ooh, what you looking at? What you looking at? Body like cinnamon roll. Icing on the top, if you got it, let's go.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. If you got it, let's go. Hello. What?
Welcome, everyone. Come on in the living room.
Yes.
Welcome to another episode of Grown Azz Women Shit.
Yes.
And today, y'all know we do this every other month. We got to bring the testosterone in the room.
What? Yes.
Too much estrogen. We call it No Bra Wednesday, but today is No Jockstrap Wednesday, okay? That's just for today. Once every other month. So we are welcoming the men to the room. We have some questions for them. We're going to talk about the things that we discussed in September. And it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes,
so shout out to everyone. I know my mom is still going through her process with breast cancer. So I just wanted to shout out Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
Get your titties checked, okay? Get them checked.
Get them titties. Take off the bra and get them titties checked.
It's time. If it's been over a year, it's time. Let your man feel for lumps, but that ain't the good thing. You got to get that mammogram, okay? I like my grandma say, get your mammogram.
Not your mammogram.
Get your mammogram.
Get your mammogram.
So I'm going to turn it over to my girl, Sonia, the sensuous certified sexologist, to tell you what we have coming up.
Yes. Well, I am excited. It is October and it is cold as shit outside. I'm like, what is happening? Summer has look, check, I'm out. I mean, I don't understand why we can't get a little bit of warmth. I called my sister who's in Atlanta, like, I am wearing a coat right now. This is some bullshit. Like, and gloves. I put on gloves the other day because I'm like, it's cold.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You went too far. It wasn't that cold.
I don't like being cold, and I put on my gloves. But yeah. So just as a reminder to everybody, we go live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for No Bra Wednesday, where we let the girls loose and we say it with our breasts. And like Pastel said, tonight we have the men folk, the testosterone in the room. Every other the first Wednesday of every other month, we have the men in the room. Every other first Wednesday, then we have Shooting the Shit with Sonia and Paz. The second weekend of the second Wednesday of the month is, of course, Minds Cocktails with a Sexologist. And then the last Wednesday of the month, we have Money Moves with Paz. We get to get our money together. So, of course, next Wednesday will be mine. I already have some ladies in store for you, and we are going to be talking about the orgasm gap, ladies. So,
Lord,
yes, there's a gap, and we get to close that gap and start having a little bit more pleasure. Hello. And we got the men in the room to talk about it. So, so we're going to introduce the fellas. We're so excited to have them in the room. First up, we're going to go with Mr. Deron. Deron, if you can introduce yourself, sir. Tell us who you are. Tell us all about yourself. And we are so excited to have you on the show tonight.
How you guys doing? I really appreciate the ladies and also the men on the show. But again, my name is Deron Tross. I currently live in Charles County. I'm from the greater New Orleans area. I've been in this area for about 26 years.
All right.
Prior military. Roundabout way, I have a undergraduate degree in biology. I have a master's in public administration. Right now, I'm involved. I'm a college football official. Just try to keep myself busy. As we know, out of time is the devil's workshop.
That's right. Yes, it is.
I've been in the valley several times and had a fight with them. But at the end of the day, I am who I am. I'm here to have a great spirited conversation and, just break some bread with the ladies, just have some honest conversation.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Now we gonna reserve Deron right now. He gonna loosen up.
He's drinking his brown liquor right now. He's drinking brown liquor.
By the way, I am a candidate for the Charles County Board of Education.
That's right.
I do believe that we as Black men, you have to be about it, and we should have a seat at the table, especially with our Black and brown boys and girls.
Yes,
All
yes,
right,
yes,
D.
yes. Well, thank you for your service before you even get started. Yes, sir. All right. So, and then we have Mr. Eugene Quick on the show. Yes, and you,
Yeah.
Eugene. Yes, sir. What about our homeboys? Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, sir.
Well, my name is Eugene Quick, native Washingtonian, husband, father, owner of FOE Hydroponic Plants. You can find me on Instagram. Promoter of natural living. I'm trying to help people grow their own food, get away from the medicine, stop living with the chemicals on it, get back to the earth. So, I mean, that's basically what I'm here for.
I know
That's
right.
country Gene. Y'all don't know it. That's big
Yeah.
big country.
I'm a country boy living in the city.
His wife is Melissa Quick.
Yes.
She call him big country. I think she called me in my little country. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know about that one. That's between y'all two. So.
Well, thank you, Gene. Glad to finally have you on the show. And then, of course, we have Mr. O'Brien Wimbush, and O'Brien is a fellow sexologist. So I'm excited to have him on the show.
Oh, shoot, I didn't know that.
Yes, O'Brien, Talentia. That's why I found him.
Okay.
My director, yes. But O'Brien, introduce yourself.
Wait a minute, that's a pastoral counseling coach. We need to put sexologist next to that. Y'all being real.
That's on his website, but he has his training because he coaches
my
families.
Apologies. He's my cousin today, y'all. So cousin, go ahead.
Thank you all for having me. My name is O'Brien. Most people call me OB. So feel free to call me OB. I am a licensed and ordained Baptist preacher. I've been preaching since I was 16 years old.
I know that's right.
I am a licensed counselor where I specialize in infidelity, intimacy recovery. And I've been serve all over the place. I'm just happy to be here. I'm the director of Over and Beyond Holistic Therapies. And so please check out the website and look forward to this conversation.
Yes. Out here doing the Lord's work, helping recover from
God.
From infidelity. Yes, we're gonna do a whole show.
I'm a cussing spiritual person, so excuse me.
Yes. Yeah. We're gonna have the whole show about. We're gonna talk about it, but we're gonna have a whole show at some point about infidelity and the impact and what we get to do to yes,
juice. Okay.
Yes. So we're excited that O'Brien is here. So as you guys know, this is our Ask Your Daddy panel, because we talk about we get a chance to hear from the testosterone all day, and we want to make sure that we are all also having the opportunity to have male input, so that it's not just we're not just hearing ourselves talk. Hello,
right? Stop making up with what people think, what the brothers think. Stop making shit up. They right here.
They right here.
Let's go.
Yes.
Tanya.
Yes.
So we talked about erectile dysfunction last month.
Yes, we did. And we tried to get O'Brien on for it, but he wasn't available because we talked about why. Yeah.
I want to know. Okay, do brothers talk about that amongst each other?
Yeah.
If you all have erectile dysfunction, because I know women, we are constantly talking about menopause, and we'll talk about it if we're having we call it dry ass pussy. We'll talk about that, which comes along with menopause. Do you all talk about erectile dysfunction amongst one another, or is that more embarrassing? What do you do?
I can go there. I haven't had a fail to lunch, so I can't.
Okay, all right.
I can't answer that.
Why you got a preface with that? I said, do you talk about
because they have
to let everybody know you working.
I'm prefacing in this term. I've had conversations with men in general about their health, whether it be mental or physical health. I had a vasectomy 22 years ago. And that's how I found out I was dealing with a situation called prostatitis, not prostate cancer, but just talking to men about my health and just different things. I found that there was a lot of other African-American men that had the same procedure. Unfortunately, we as African-American men tend not to talk about these things. But I recently had a conversation with my oldest brother, who's a diabetic. And we had that conversation, and I asked him, what did he, how did he feel? He said, well, he felt less than a man. So he went to the VA and got him had a procedure, and he has got him a pump.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
those are helpful. Sometimes we got to start, we got to
need a little help.
Yeah.
So but again, we were just talking about our health, and but again, the conversation we had, I would have never known had I brought it up. But just in general, Black men, we tend not to have that conversation. But
so this is not a barbershop conversation.
Well, Pops would tell you everywhere I go, I talk about mental health. Even on my social media page, I'm going to go too long. I'm in therapy. I go to therapy. Therapy was the best thing that ever happened for me to me. So I believe in therapy, and I believe in taking care of mind, body, and soul.
All right. Yes.
So, Gene, have you ever heard this conversation? I know you don't have any hair, but is it a barbershop conversation?
I mean, not really.
Not really.
It's a close friend conversation.
It's a close friend conversation.
Because usually brother conversation.
One second, Duran.
You got to be somebody that you've known for all your life. You can talk about everything already. So that's not a big deal for real. I mean, if you got close friends, most of them really real close friends. I mean, they should be watching on you, checking on you anyway. So, that's a regular conversation for real good friends.
So, have you had conversations like that with your friends?
I have had them, yeah.
Okay.
A few of my friends, yeah. So
that's good to hear.
I'm glad to hear that you guys are having those conversations. O'Brien, what are you finding with the men that you work with?
The men that I work with, one thing I'm super excited whenever I get Black men in therapy, especially in sex therapy, and we have a lot of Black men going to therapy, and I'm proud of that. I'm super happy to see Black men in therapy, especially when it comes to sex. And I'm glad to be able to share and to walk with men through this difficult situation in their life. But just outside of my practice, I do not have this conversation about erectile dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have had this conversation once or twice in my life, and it came up just kind of haphazardly. But it's not something that we talk about frequently or just in general. It's not. In therapy, I see it every day. But outside of therapy, around my friends, we do not talk about erectile dysfunction at all.
Got it.
Wow. Well, we talk about it a lot. I know I've encountered it with gentlemen, and it
it's challenging.
Yes, it's a challenge.
What's the challenge?
The challenge is that I personally prefer not to start a relationship off with that being an issue. So I'm finding that men my age are relatively unhealthy. So high blood pressure, diabetes. I always tell a funny story. One guy I went out on a date with, he didn't eat vegetables. I'm like, you almost 50 and you don't eat no damn vegetables. What is wrong with you? It's just unhealthy. I don't want to sign up for an unhealthy like existence. So you're coming to the table with this problem and a plethora of other issues, then I don't see the longevity. So it's if I was in a relationship with someone for a long period of time, of course we would deal with that. But on the other hand, I will be feeding him good food and making sure his health is, taken care of, which is what most, women really support men in taking care of their health. A lot of times most of the time it's that way. You do have cases where the men will support the women, but most of the time, we can just look at the statistics that men who have women in their lives or mates, they live longer. So it's just a fact. So go ahead, Sonia. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, well, no, I was going to say, just in terms of the not talking about it, it's not like as a culture, we don't have a lot of places that we don't talk about, because even though we might talk amongst ourselves as women about menopause and that sort of thing, there are a lot of things that we still don't talk about. And so that's part of the reason for the show. It's like we kind of are trying to move away from our previous generations that were more silent and maybe keeping
Right.
things under the rug and not really wanting to deal with stuff, and really saying, okay, so let us start to talk with each other about these things, because, us talking about it is going to cause us all to grow. So yeah.
So what I just to continue this conversation a little bit more, what do you guys think could help men to start having these conversations more often?
Oh man,
go ahead, bro.
I was going to say, Dr. Pause, what you said. It's hard for men to open up for things. Just what you said. We're embarrassed, and women don't want men who can't get an erection, and so it's hard for us to be able to share openly about erectile dysfunction. And I would encourage even the women who, when you're having these conversations, to really become more understanding.
Compassionate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because this, I'm pretty sure it impacts women who men cannot have a full erection, and it messes them up, and it makes women look down upon men who have erectile dysfunction, and so it's hard to be able to come out and openly say. And so, just like men, we need to learn how to treat our body better and learn how to operate. Even especially as you get older, we're not going to be as hard as we used to be when we was 21. And so we have to begin to learn how to experience pleasure. I'm so happy that you all are doing the orgasm gap, because when you get older, you're not as hard as you used to be. So how do you still experience great pleasure? And that's a question that I want to know as a man, is if I'm having erectile dysfunction or can't get as hard as I used to, am I still able to please you? Or is my hard dick the only thing that please you? Because that's the case. That's hard for men to accept. And a lot of the reason why men go out there and cheat, because there are some women who will accept my, not as hard penis as the one who I'm dating currently. So I would like to know from you all too, from women, what can you all do to get over the mental block that's stopping you from loving someone who can, and enjoying sex with someone who can't have a full erection?
Got it. I mean, I know for me, I dated someone that had prostate cancer, and I knew at the outset that he had prostate cancer. So I already knew that there were issues. And I also was not pressing him about them because he was going through radiation. I'm like, you got bigger fish to fry. You are like, trying to save your life right now. I'm not certainly going to be saying, tap, tap, tap. You need to be doing things differently. However, once we kind of got past the radiation and he was back, like, okay, yes, he's in the clear in terms of the doctors. I was like, there are lots of things that we could be doing. Unfortunately, he didn't want to hear about those because I think he had relied on his penis for most of his life. So as a result, when I'm like, no, like I got a full functioning clitoris over here. Like we get to get down, and he was what this seemed like that he wasn't willing to be attentive in that way. It's like penis ain't working. I'm going to sleep, and that was challenging. I had to finish myself off all the time because I'm like, you're not willing to do what's necessary. Say that again.
That's regular if it's working or not. That's regular for me.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so he just instead would just fall asleep and really not want to broach the conversation. And then even when I brought it up and said, hey, let's have a conversation about this, he didn't want to talk about it. And I was like, well, let's go. I have there's some a process that I wanted to try that, it's like, where we could actually learn to please each other better. He didn't want to have the conversation. So yeah, so I think that sometimes we may be out there actually trying and not necessarily getting the full cooperation, or and that's not everybody. I do know some sisters. This is like hell nah. They like.
I mean, no. For me, it's I know I get on here and joke a lot about that, but to me, that's some health stuff. Because most of the time, it's you are not taking care of yourself, and that is the reason why. And if you have no desire to take care of yourself, I'm not signing up for that.
Yeah.
I'm not coming to a situation where I'm rolling someone around the wheelchair. No, we're not doing that. You are able-bodied, and you can, as a matter of fact, most of my, my favorite first date is to go for a walk. I want to see how far you can walk. So if you can do these 3 miles real quick with me, all right, we probably no money, no nothing. We going for a walk. and then go somewhere and see what you order.
You know, it goes a little bit. I think it goes a little bit deeper than we talk about the conversation. A lot of men are conditioned not to. It's a communication problem, and if you can pull back the onion or the peels on the communication piece, you can get a lot out of your mate, and it goes both ways. You know, I pride myself on being able to communicate. You know, excuse me, Pastor. I'm like Paz. If I don't like you, I'm gonna let you know. Fuck you. That's who I am.
Right.
Every day, all day. But you have to be able to.
Yes, we a lot alike.
but you have to be able to communicate with your mate. You know, even body language. You know, I used to watch my mom and dad. They used to finish off each other's conversations. And just how in tune they were. You know, when you could have a sexual, whether it be erection or whatever, a woman with dryness or whatever, but it's the way that you communicate with her by doing different things. You can touch her around her neck.
Right.
It's body language. You know, so you just have to figure out your mate. It's not just if anyone's listening, it's not just crawl up on someone and.
But that's what a lot of people are. They've been taught that's what sex is. Particularly now with all of the porn. You know, it's ridiculous. It's just the porn is just ridiculous.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
There's no intimacy. There's no, you know, even looking at a woman in her eyes. You know, looking in each other's eyes. There's no, like the Facebook you said, one word to O'Brien, intimacy. Intimacy is such a huge part of sex, but I think, you know, when men, and y'all correct me because I ain't a man, but they've relied on the penis, the ego of it, the physical part of it, and this is left out of the whole sexual experience. It's an act. You know, they focus on the act versus the journey, the experience.
Well, part of it though is that we look at culturally what we're taught, and the fact that often that's not something, like, we're moving further and further away from interpersonal relationships in general. Like social media now is now causing us to feel less connected to one another. People are learning, the social skills are going out the window. And so now you're talking about trying to actually be able to connect and communicate with somebody, but you don't have you're now lacking the skills or the capacity. So, you know, there's a lot of places where we're lacking in terms of learning what we need to do to be in relationship with each other, and we're getting further away from that. So certainly, you know, places where we get to be in therapy and also in spaces that teach us how to do those things, and we're not necessarily having those either. The place to do it, or even the examples in our lives of it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like kind of a catch-22. A good thing for us to use is technology, like forums like this are great for us as men because we didn't have them. I mean, y'all, we talk about the barbershop, but you know, I mean, unless you're going born in the 60s and 70s, the barbershop has been gone for 20 years. So, I mean, for the last 20, 30 years, there's really been no way for men to, you know, congregate and communicate and talk about subjects like this. Right. I mean, so, but forums like this and the internet and all this stuff is I think it's bringing back or opening up for men the ability to talk, to have conversations. But at the same time, I agree with you, Sonia. It does kind of limit the interconnectivity that we should have because we're so everybody's on their phone now. I mean, I drive every day and I see people and all they're doing is looking down. I mean, they walk across the street, up and down the street. I've been in a room with 10 teenagers, and at least 8 of them are on their phone.
On their phone,
in the same room. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's talking to each other. It's silent, but everybody got a phone. They're talking to somebody else.
Right.
So, yeah, forums like this are excellent for us as men.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the next topic. I don't see any more questions about that. But we talked a little bit about fall fashion. Now, I know y'all are guys, but you know, I want to know, we talked about men being stuck in the 90s and not throwing away the dad jeans and stuff. At this stage in your life, how concerned are you with how you present yourself? Because I see cousin over there with suit and tie on, you know.
Oh, that's because I just got finished teaching my class.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I am, if I can answer that, I'm very concerned. I am very conscious on how I look, where I go, when I go. I have a problem with shoes. I bought 2 pair of shoes today. Over probably about.
That kind of problem.
I own over 150 pair of shoes.
Okay.
I took one of the rooms in my house and knocked the wall down and made it it's a closet.
Shoe gallery.
Lord.
So, okay.
I'm very conscious.
Right,
I'm very conscious on. I'm kind of very conscious on how I look. You know, I got a beard. I go to the barber shop every Friday at 4:00. I get my manicure. I get my pedicure every month.
Okay. All right.
I have a problem. I have some issues with my feet. I go see a reflexologist as well every month. So I'm very conscious on
right. He's like, look, I'm all about the self-care.
Self-care is important. You know, I get a facial. I use a product called Jack Black. I've been using that for about 12 years. And I'm just very conscious on how I look when I look. I mean, I'm 57 years old. At the end of the day, if I'm going to date someone, I at least want to look the part.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Excuse me. Yes.
We
stand a man that takes care of himself. Okay.
I know you put on, D. I know you put on.
Postel know me personally, so I do believe, you know, how I smell, that whole thing.
Got it.
I see D put on. Yeah. What about you guys, Gene?
I mean, I used to be more conscious before I got married. This honestly.
Oh hell no! You ain't just say that to the public.
I listen.
Well, let's forget
it.
No, marriage will do that.
I mean,
for both men and women.
I mean, I don't know if that. I mean, when I was dating, I mean, I was always out. I was always partying. I mean, I was in competition with everybody else, you know, with other men. So it was more of a routine thing. I was always going out, so I was always okay. I got to get dressed. Now, I mean, I'm always clean, always neat. I don't cut my hair as much as I used to. I used to do it every day, but I'm trying to get back to it. They say what is the saying? How you got her is how you got to keep her, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You just settled all it. You just all settled in after 200 years.
Yeah, I am settled. I mean, 20-some years together, 20-some years married. Yeah, I am kind of settled.
Did she say 200 years?
Yeah, they've been married for about 200 years.
We've been together forever, so. But, you know, I mean, I am conscious of when I go out, I am conscious of what I look like. So, I mean, because I do think I'm a representation of my wife. So, I'm not as conscious as I was when I was younger, but I am conscious when I go out. So, I don't do that.
I tell my kids, I think you need to look like somebody loves you. Because I mean, it's the truth. You should look like somebody. I think our age group, we grew up caring how we look, and looking at my daughter when she was younger, and all the kids looked the same. They just didn't give a damn. They look raggedy. All of them look raggedy. I think she cares more now. But my mother used to be so concerned, like, why are you letting her go out looking like that? We laugh about it now. And I told my mom, I was like, I gotta pick my battles. I can't, you know, she's all right. She all right. I was like, I can't get sick over this stuff, but some days she didn't look like anybody loved her to me.
but then and like you said about picking your battles, sometimes that's what we actually have as individuals, have to pick your battles. And sometimes, depending on how stressed out you are, that's one of the first things to go. Like, fuck how I look. Like right now, I am fighting for my life. Like, you know, depending on what you might be going through mentally, stress related, other stuff going on in your life, that might be something that you just cannot spend the energy on. And as much, you know, certainly, you know, hopefully once you're able to get things back going, that you're able to now spend the energy on it. But that's not, you know, it's not unusual that's not important.
Right. And I like to shift it a little bit with O'Brien, OB. How did the pandemic affect how you took care of your fashion?
I'm the wrong person to ask.
No, you're the right person to ask, because you just said that.
No, the pandemic. I must admit, I'm not into fashion. Never been into fashion. Um, um, I wish I owned 150 pair of shoes. Goodness
I know
gracious.
that's right. So do I. Can I get 150 pair of shoes?
Yeah. And so my thing, the pandemic. For me, I just became more relaxed during the pandemic. And I'm in sweatpants most of the time. My wife asked me the other day, "When are you gonna start wearing underwear again?" I'm like, "For what? I ain't going outside."
Lord, your mama gotta ask you when you gonna start wearing drawers again. Come on now, come on, cousin.
Right.
Throw
For
some drawers.
what? I'm at home all day long. This was shit.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But when you go out, do you
I
put
go
on
out,
some drawers?
I do.
Is the question. Okay.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I understand O'Brien exactly because I'm just going up the store to the groceries. I'm just getting groceries. I don't have time for this shit.
Well,
Like,
for me, I think fashion, for me, it represents who you are, and
Mhm.
you ought to dress the way you feel. My son's barber, when he was a little boy, told him, "Feel good, look good, do good." And if you feel good, I don't care what you got on. If you look good, not to other people, but to yourself, I don't care how other people look at you. You look good to yourself, and you'll do good. And I don't care what you got on. If you feel good, man, you're gonna be attractive. And so I'm not big on having to be in fashion. I believe you be you, and people gonna like you. And guess what? I ain't trying. I don't care if everybody don't like me. The people that's supposed to like me, they're going to like me. And if you don't like me, you ain't gonna like me. And I ain't gonna try to do anything to make you like me. And so fashion, I like to dress up. I'm an alpha phi alpha. I'm a man of distinction. And so when I dress up, I'm gonna dress up. But I'm not gonna go out my way to impress you. I got a beautiful wife, and she sometimes like the way I dress. But so long as she's happy, I don't care about other people. And I represent God. So when I stand before the people, I want to make sure I represent God, the Creator. He's the greatest fashion designer, and so I want to make sure I represent his creativity in my dress. And so I say, feel good, look good, do good. You feel good about what you got on, man, rock it. I don't care what it is. If you want to wear Skechers, you feel good in those Skechers, you better rock them Skechers. Or if you got Dolce and Gabbanas, whatever you want to rock, man, feel good in doing it. And if you don't, I don't care if you got the best fashion on. If you don't feel good, you ain't gonna do good. So my fashion advice is, man, put on stuff that make you feel good. I don't care who likes it. If you like it, man, you all right with me.
all right. I know
Who
that's right.
is there
Yeah.
one? Is there one?
Okay.
Tell me the
I mean, you can drop my
Is there
cash out.
one?
You can drop my cash out and give me an offering. I mean, you can go ahead and do that right now.
That is there one. I know that's right.
Is there one? All
Yes.
right. So we're gonna move
Yes.
on to the next topic. We talked about the art of dying well.
Yes. That's one of
The
Pasa's
art of
favorite
dying
topics,
well.
honey. Honey,
Is
we didn't
your
talk about it.
shit together? So when you leave here, are you gonna leave what they say, all Papa left was a loan? And I'm saying LOAN. Is the loan gonna be paid up? Do you all have your shit together? We'll
Well,
start with cousin real quick.
Dying well, I think that's huge for us, and especially in the Black community, to make sure our stuff is in order. I have a good friend who owns a funeral home here in DC. He's constantly preaching that is that we got to do better with our finances before
I
we
need
die.
his number because I need him to come on here and
I
preach
said
to
his
me.
name is Ronald Teller. Y'all look him up, Ronald Teller, right on
Yeah,
New
because
DC. Y'all make sure y'all hit him up.
that's my goal in life. To everybody have their shit together when they die.
Yeah,
I'm sick of this
he
damn
preaches this constantly.
GoFundMe shit. Go ahead, Rev.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
amen.
Yeah. And so we do, and I wish that we had more people in these schools, in our high schools, teaching our young Black children the importance of having your stuff together.
Mhm.
And we wish we had more parenting classes on how to make sure our children are taken care of when we die, and it's important. And I must admit, several years ago, my life insurance, I forgot to pay it, and I lost it. I said, "Oh my gosh!"
Oh
And I had to
no.
pay all this money to get it back up. I said, "Lord,
Mhm.
we have to make sure we take care of our stuff."
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Quick?
I'm not as ready as I should be. But we getting there. Um, yeah, I mean everything like if we left tomorrow, I think my kids will be fine with everything we have now. They could do the things they would. There would be no GoFundMe page or like anything like that with us. But we're trying to get better. I want to be at the point when we do go that everything they need is taken care of. They can do anything they want after we're gone with everything we leave them. I mean, that's put us in the ground, do whatever you got to do with us, and do whatever you need to do for yourself once we're gone. I mean, that's the way my parents put everything in motion. So, like, I had a house before I was 18. All their burial stuff was paid for before I was 21. So they had done all that stuff. So when they did leave, I ain't have to do nothing but sign some paperwork, and everything was taken care of. And then I always had family members who was able to help us out. I mean, I had an aunt that did everything like that for everybody. So I always had somebody to go to. And I think that's the biggest issue with us. Even if we don't know how to do it, we don't have anybody else to go to. I mean, because nobody knows how to do anything. I see so many GoFundMe pages for funerals, and I was like, oh, really? That's ridiculous. I mean, I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot to bury us, but not to be ready when you die. I went through with family members, and to me, it's ridiculous. I mean, they can't bury you for 2 months because they don't have no money. That's not a burden I want on my kids. So I have to get my stuff together. And I was told by parents who did it. So
right. So what's stopping you?
I think being lazy and complacent. I think that's about it. I mean, not focusing on other stuff. Instead of focusing on that. Sometimes it's not even in my head. So.
Well, I don't know.
Go ahead, Sam.
One of the things that we also talked about that's stopping us as a community is the lack of the inability to really want to talk about it, to face the topic. So like even being able to start having the conversations to say this is something that's going to happen at some point, and these are the measures that we're putting into place. So often, I know for what I've experienced with my family, it's been more like an avoidance of the topic. And, even my father that just passed in August, he was like, I ain't going nowhere. I mean, I don't care how bad it was getting. He was like, I ain't going nowhere. So it's like we couldn't have a real conversation to say, but if you do, what is the game plan? And so we were left out there because he was like, he wanted to behave as if it's almost like so. And it's from the standpoint of faith, there's a belief in our faith that if my father's also a pastor, so I grew up a PK kid. So, but that if I was to say that I might die, I'm going to make that happen. So there's no professing that at all. So we're not even preparing for the future because I'm not going to even say that out of my mouth. Like
and that's the most ludicrous thing because we all know we all gonna die.
Yeah.
So not to say it is the most ludicrous, ridiculous thing. That's the one thing. You ain't even got people say I got to stay black and die. No, you really don't. You can get vitiligo. You are gonna die. So you need to prepare and stop stealing your family's grief.
Yeah, but there's a lot of fear about
it's grief stealing. It's selfish. And you get to do better and you get to be celebrated when you leave here. And I just want to give a few little tips. I have to say it again. If you don't have beneficiaries on your bank account, please put them on there today. That's easy. You can do it online. You don't have to have a will to do that.
Very easy.
You can, in DC, in some states, in particular in DC, you can transfer your home. If you own your home, you can transfer it directly to your friend, to whoever you want to. It's a little piece of paper. Have an advance directive. You can get that paperwork off of AARP. Get your health power of attorney. If you in the bed now, who gonna make the decisions if you're not married? So those are some of the things you should do. So I'm gonna get off my box. Y'all know I get excited when
right.
I was gonna call the conversation ready to die, but I thought that was too biggy. So.
Right, you was going a little too hard with that.
I was going a little too hard with it. I said the art of dying. That's
right.
You know what, ladies? That was probably my father's mission. I remember my mom and my dad passed. All I had to do was show up. It was done. I just recently lost a brother and a sister within the last 18 months. Wow. And it was done that way as well. My daughter would tell you, my youngest would tell you, She said, "Dad, you worth more than me dead and alive," because I have, I'm walking around. To be honest with you, I got over $800,000 worth of life insurance on myself.
Why are you telling people that?
No, we just having a conversation. They don't have access.
If you end up dead tomorrow,
they don't have access to it. But at any rate, I have a will, but I don't only have a will. I have an estate that's already planned, an estate it's already filed at the county here. But something happens to me. And one of the best things from a financial piece, my dad, I remember this is like my third buying a house, but he said, "Son, think about a 20-year mortgage." And at first I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, he laid it out for me, and so when I say about that, when you talk about leaving a nest egg for your kids, even my home that I am right now, it'll be paid for the next 4.5 years. So part of that was part of the estate planning side of it. So you have to plan your estate, but that's just part said you're going to die. So you have to plan and not make sure that you're having any GoFundMe's, leaving your kids in debt or whatever. You want to plan for it. And at the same time, part of that planning, not only for death, is retirement planning. You need to start, if you haven't started.
That's my two things, retirement and death.
You got to have a nest egg because, like I said, I'm 57 and in 3 years, I'm out.
I'm out next year.
Out.
Kind of halfway out.
With my little disability from the military, I'm out.
I know that's right. Get your little welfare check.
100%, baby. 100%. Direct deposit. but seriously, things like that, we as people, we don't think about. Now, when we talked about having a barbershop conversation, that is a barbershop conversation. 100%.
I wish it was. I wish I had a barbershop, hairdresser ministry just going around.
Come on down here to Charles County. My guys, where I go at, they will love you.
Okay. I would love to have that ministry.
There's 2 women barbers in there as well. They would love you.
It should be a ministry. Just
it's
like
it's a good conversation to have. I mean,
it is.
As a pastor, pastor would tell you it's a problem. Well, you got to go to the church. You want to this here. No.
Well, I want to go. Since you said something about pastor, do you talk about that in church?
Well,
does anybody? I know Deron goes to church. Do they talk about it in your church? But go ahead, cousin.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about this in church, and especially within our fellowships, our men's fellowships, our singles fellowships. These things are talked about and discussed, and we have to continue to have these conversations. And as we become elders of our community, as Deron was saying, we have to begin speaking to our teenagers. And again, I serve also at the University of Maryland College Park, and these are the conversations that we need to have with the younger generation as we become elders. And let me say this: we as a Black community, as we are becoming elders, we have to grow up too. We have to leave that childish thinking behind, and we have to begin to take more responsibilities. We need some more big mamas in our community. I'm tired of 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds trying to be young, trying to be fly. Man, no, be a big mama, because we got a community that we got to support. And so we need big mamas. We need papas in our community, fathers in our community, speaking to these younger generations, saying, hey, get your stuff together. Get your stuff together. And we need to stop trying to be fly and hip and cool. And we need to be about community building.
We could be both, not cousin. We could be fly. You could be not. Hold up, I'm fly over here. Let me just put it down. But I'm still talking about
that boat has sailed.
No, sir. No, sir.
You said no, sir.
No, sir. I can still look nice and talk about estate planning and finance and everything else. Everything that I'm talking about. Are you talking about a fly mindset, or are you talking about dressing? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the mentality of trying to be fly, trying to be hip, trying to be cool. We got to get rid of that, and that's something new in our community. Now we always had we are Black. We from Africa. We always look good. We gonna always look good.
Okay, I misunderstood. I was going to say, hold up. Big mama don't mean we gotta be wearing muumuus and shit.
No.
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, and I think that
we need more people pouring into our communities and pouring into the young people and allowing them to grow, make decisions, and really be an example for them as well.
Yeah. And I think that the idea of that flyness. So I hear what you're saying, O'Brien, because the idea that is where you're cool, being cool is not wanting to do all that stuff. It's where we've made that, like, you know, how the kids in school, if you were smart, you were bullied because it's like it wasn't cool to be smart. It was cool to be one of the assholes that's acting up in class. And so it's like, you know, instead of trying to be, you know, okay, yeah, I have all the margaritas and I hang out and I do all the things. It's like, you know, how do I actually a shift in our priorities is what I'm hearing. Like, you know, how are we actually saying what's important? Because like I told you, Paz, I'm like, you know, we really get to start a movement like like I have good credit, like that type of a movement,
Right.
because so often, you know, it's okay for everybody to be like, girl, my credit fucked up too. Child, it ain't nothing. All right, well, let's go on and be fucked up together. Right. So it's like that type of being cool and fly and hip, as opposed to making the responsible thing cool and hip and fly.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Being fly, you know, if you think being fly is a negative, then I ain't with that. But being fly, intelligent, speaking truth and speaking into the person's growth, that's fly. And I look good doing it. Look damn good doing it. And I'm gonna keep looking good because that's what my mama, that's how my mama raised, to look good. So anywho, look, somebody, I didn't even go through the comments. We've been talking.
Right, we did. We have
had someone said, well, we're gonna go back to the beginning. Foreplay, merely understanding how to connect and engage. Historically, everything points at the penis, and a black man is the most loved and hated for this. They out here leading with big D or little D energy. Ooh, shut
girl, up. Don't you bet.
Deron, somebody called you a Devo. Get nails did.
I know that's right. Like,
I love it. Someone said, I think not getting life insurance is selfish for a functional adult. I agree. Yeah, we must get some type of insurance. We have a goal. Don't just have things handled. Be able to leave a legacy your grandchildren can benefit from. Someone said, I think we're called aunties now. Fly
aunties, fly auntie.
Yeah, aunties and uncles. Yep. The elder responsibility is real. How do we engage them, the men in our communities, to lead? The big mamas have been holding our communities up. Ooh, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a different show. That's a different show.
Yes. Can I chime in on that?
Sure.
You know, we were having a conversation, as I stated earlier, I'm running for school board, and a young lady made a comment to me. She said, well, Deron, your plan that you have is great. However, I don't think it's your time to lead. And it's an African-American woman. And I looked at it at first, I had another thought I wanted to say to her. But I said, you know what, it's in the midst of campaign, so I'm going to hold that thought. But I said, well, ma'am, if not now, tell me when. I said, but you need to understand, I hear that you want Black men to lead, especially in the areas of, we're talking about in education, our homes. Why it's not my time now? I said, tomorrow is not promised to me. I could die. I said, but at the end of the day, I hope you would vote for me. If not, it's okay. That's your right. But never tell me or any other Black boy it's not their time.
Well, it may not be your time in that particular position. We can all lead on any level. Just being a candidate is leadership. So if you want to frame it as this particular thing represents leadership, no, you're already leading because you took the leap to run. This is leadership, leading a conversation. So I don't think, you know.
Well, she came, but also she was coming from another way. I mean, when we down here in Charles County, I stirred up some things. I did a lot of protesting.
Gotcha.
That's where she was coming from.
Okay.
And I was like, nah, we talking about a school system where you have almost 29% of the students, and of that 29%, 53% of those Black boys have IEPs. No one is showing up for them. Someone needs to show up. I was that student with an IEP. I am dyslexic. I know what it feels to not feel wanted. So therefore, I'm going to continue to speak for the lost. I'm going to call out the leadership where I think they have failed us, especially to our young boys and black girls. So it is my time now. Period. The end.
So the question is, how do we engage the men in our communities to lead?
You don't have to engage us.
You don't have to engage us. Have been holding it down for so long.
You don't have to engage us. We're already leading.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to engage.
Say it again, Pastor.
Yeah, we're already leading.
Say it again, Pastor.
Are we willing to follow? We're already leading, and that's a horrible stereotype to keep putting that message out there that black men are not leading. We have always led, and we are still leading. The question is, are we willing to follow the leadership, the example of black men? And that's not a question for black men. That's a question for our community.
I gotta agree with that. I mean, I think it's a falsehood to say that we haven't been leading.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know a lot of fathers and husbands and men who do stuff. I see it every day. So to say that we're not leading is a falsehood. I can't agree with that.
I don't think they said that. They said engage the men in our communities to lead. So I didn't read where it said you're not leading. It just said engage.
No, I'm saying we're already engaged.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. We're already there. I mean, it'd be different if I didn't see it.
I think it's not a thing of whether we see it or not. I think it's a matter of the numbers. I think it's not whether it's happening. However, we also do know that there are a lot of men that are not leading. So it's not that it's not happening. So we're not dismissing the fact that men are definitely leading, and there are households where there are no men leading because that household has been abandoned and those children have been left behind. So there are places where leading is not happening.
Let me ask the women and children in this chat and this listening. Write down. Tell me the men that you are following right now.
What do you mean that you're following?
Who are you engaging? Do you want to follow black men? Do you want to engage black men? And if you are, I'll be interested to know who women are following and who children are following and communities are following. Because it's not a matter if we need to be engaged. We are out there. My son plays for an amazing football team called Merlin Elite. And these brothers are outpouring into our black boys. And they're engaged in schools. They go up to the schools. They might not have PhDs. They might not have master's degree. They might not be living down there in the new richest county for black people in Charles County. They might be living in Forest Creek. But these black men are engaged. My son loves his coaches. And so my question is, who are we willing to follow black men leadership? That's my question. Are we trying to make black men who we want them to be? And that's not leadership.
Wait. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that last part again?
Do we want leaders who we create, or do we want to follow men who are already leading? Or do we want to create our own leaders?
I'm looking at sign. You don't even see me looking at you.
Yeah. Got it. Well, I would say, first of all, leadership is not. There's a whole part to leadership that has to do with serving the people that are supposedly. It's not just about leading. It's actually about serving and looking at the needs of the people that you're actually leading. And so sometimes that's also not occurring. But it looks like Deron was about to say something.
Yeah, we talk about leading. This year, I led a campaign. We got a grant from the state. One of the schools here, Charles, and it's called Westlake High School, where we have a lot of the young black boys and some black girls, but the majority of the black boys, some people call them fatherless, that don't have a male in the house. We had 102 black men welcome those kids to school. It was on the news when they got off the bus.
I did see that.
That was amazing.
I did see that.
That was amazing.
I led that campaign. When those kids got off that bus, we were there. We had the cheerleaders. We had the band. We've been back several times. Right now, I'm getting emails now. Can we have the men of Westlake to come to our school? The men of Westlake to do this in the community. So these are the things that we talk about leading that we are doing, and we're not doing it just so happen. I had some contacts in the media who came out and covered it, but we wanted it in the news. We wanted it in the news because we want, the narrative that we are not leading. We are leading. But see, the news will point out one thing and not see the positive things. So this is, this is the things that we're doing here in my community. There's Black men in Washington, D.C., Virginia that are leading, but the narrative is from the media or social media that we're not leading. Trust me, we are leading. I see a lot of men that are in my, one, I don't have to take over. We did a podcast about 3 weeks ago about mental health. I had my therapist was on there, another doctor was on there, and another doctor and another brother, just having a conversation. So the conversation was about mental health, and I'm very open about it. I'm at the Kohl's yesterday, had a hat on. Guy said, "Hey man, you Duran?" I said, "Yeah." What's going on in my mind? I'm going, okay, where this is going? He said, "I want to thank you." I said, "What's going on?" The guy said, "Hey man, my life was in shambles. You encouraged me to go to therapy." So those are type things that we don't see. We talk about leading.
Right. The small
The small thing, but just that one brother that made a statement. I mean, we sat there and cried in the aisle. I don't mind crying. But those are the type things the little things that by leading. I never met Eugene Quick. I met his wife, but he and we conversate just on social media. That man is a man. It's a man. And just the conversation I've had with him, I know he's leading.
Yeah, there was an article about the percentage of Black men who are engaged with their children, and it came out that Black men are more likely to be more engaged with their children, which is a shift in the narrative. I see you shaking your head, cousin. So there are small, shifts in the narrative. It's not enough at all. However, and we get to look at, I don't know who sent the question in, but there may have been an experience where they don't see that. You ask the question right now, who you're following up. I didn't really, following in what way? Who, the people who you admire or the people who are pouring into your life? We all follow a leader. First of all, a leader should be a follower. You're going to have to follow at some point. There's no distinction between the two. You have to follow in order to be a great leader, because we learn through example and experience. So, I don't want to negate that person's question, because that may be their experience.
And I would say, in addition, honestly, I feel like, yes, that's occurring, and leaders listen to what your constituents, however you want to call them, whether it's your women, your children, your whatever, that are saying that somehow I don't feel like I'm getting what I need. We're listening to what the needs that are not being met. And so somehow we still have children that are saying that I don't know my father. So, or that households where that leadership has been left. So I think we certainly get to applaud men that are leaders, because certainly, we know men, there's some men that come out leaders. You know who you are, you embody that. And I'm saying it's time for some of these other brothers to be educated in a way that they also get that. Like, it's almost like each one teach one, so that we have more of a collective of leading. Because we just said Big Mama. We said Big Mama as if that's not been the ideal, that most of the time Big Mama is running things.
Ladies,
and so
can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
We had a conversation earlier about looks, and Brother Pastor said he don't care how he look. I get it. But let me ask you this here. You often hear women will say, "Girl, that man know he looks good, he smells good, whatever." Looks can be deceiving.
Okay.
You can dress a pig up. Pig is still going to be a
pig. That's what we call
it. My mother used to always say, and I use it on social media a lot, but she used to say, "Baby, legs spread faster than lies." Think about it.
Okay, you lost me. I'm gonna be honest.
Think about what I'm saying. That man can look good. He can smell good.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to legs? They spread, but not getting to know that individual, their mind.
Okay, so what is that with respect to leadership?
Leadership. I can follow Pa says things to me as in a personal friendship that is being a leader. Sonia, you may say something that will say something that's being a leader.
Yeah, I lead all the time.
You have to understand the discernment of who to follow. You can't just follow anyone just because they have a title or they're in the community.
Yeah.
You have to think about it, and not to get spiritual, and you have to pray for a spirit of discernment. Find out, who you want to follow, because hey, there's a whole bunch of people went over to Jonestown, Guyana, and got killed following someone who they thought was a leader.
Well, so what about children who have fathers that you don't choose? You don't choose your father.
1 second, y'all. It is 9:00. We kind of got into the conversation, and I told you all that I would end it at 9. So I just want to make sure that you all are on board for staying another 10, 15 minutes. I want to make sure I'm respectful of time. Cousin, you all right over there? Are you?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, we're gonna go another
right. And we might wanna, this might be a whole show. So this might be like, okay, so then how do we get this as an episode and actually take it and have the full conversation? Because it seems like we've tapped into something, and I don't know that we want to not do it justice.
Right.
I'm willing to come back anytime.
I'm just saying that. So just in case, I don't know that we're gonna wrap that up in 10 or 15 minutes.
I don't know either, because
this is
a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
this is our conversation, Sonya.
Yeah, say this from as a man,
because we got social media. Go ahead, Gene. You were saying?
I'm just saying, as a man, we follow things. We follow positive things. We might need to see it more. Well, our kids might need to see it more. I mean, everybody's got a phone. Everybody shows this. There's always TikTok. There's always all this social media stuff out here. We use all the social media all the time. Let's use it for the positivity. I mean, if that's what we want, I understand TikTok and all that. It's funny. It's hilarious. But I mean, if we say we want something, let's use our tools for the things we want instead of everything else. I mean, you got your phone. If you see somebody leading, or you're following somebody that that may be good for the rest of us, or you may be a positive. Just put it. Put a reel out there. I mean, put it on Facebook. Put it on Instagram. Y'all put everything else out there.
That sounds great. And it will be great. I mean, I've had this conversation with Sonya. People talk about Kevin Samuels a lot. He rest his soul. When he started out, he was talking about really positive stuff that most people don't even know if they don't go way back. But the minute he started getting likes, when he disrespected that young lady, the clicks, he got caught up with the clicks. So being positive and spreading this it doesn't get the clicks on social media. So the kids are digesting this junk. They're feeding on shit that's not good for them.
But you feed on stuff when you don't necessarily even have the guidance on what to eat.
Yeah, but then that comes back to us as adults.
Right.
I mean, exactly. What are we feeding our kids? I mean, what your kids become are really a result of what you give them. I mean, there are bad apples in every bunch and all that kind of stuff, but I've never seen a kid that was a student that didn't have some positivity in his life.
Right.
I mean, I've seen kids that were, the baddest of the bad, but that one positive aspect completely gave them a 180-degree turn. They're trying to completely turn around. So it's all in what the kids are fed. So we gotta feed them what we want them to be.
Yeah, and not just them, but feed ourselves. So I think I think it deserves its own episode. I think we need to put our heads together and talk about having this conversation and really giving it the title and the justice that it deserves, instead of trying to squeeze it into a 10-minute
right. So with that, we want to thank you guys so much for joining Ask Your Daddy.
Yes.
Got a little service.
and as it should. Right. We can't just talk shit. We gotta we also gotta handle shit.
We want to hear what you all have to say. Sonya and I, we ain't afraid to challenge or ask.
That's what happens when you get men in the room. We get serious. We don't got time to talk shit.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we laugh a lot now. We always serious, even when
Right.
we laughing, you know.
Yes,
So
yeah.
we appreciate the conversation. We appreciate you guys taking the time to come here today. And hope Sonya and I gonna have to work on this show
Yes.
later
We'll
on because
put it
it
together.
deserves the time. It really deserves the time. So thank you guys for
Yes.
everything.
Thank
Sonya,
you.
tell them what we have coming up next week.
Yes,
No more
yes.
guests.
So just as a reminder, we go live on for No Bra Wednesday every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and where we let our girls loose and we say it with our chest because there's a lot of wisdom that gets unleashed in this living room. Next week we will be talking about the orgasm gap, and I have a couple of fellow sexologists on so we can talk about how women get to experience the pleasure that we've been missing out on in the bedroom. So you do not want to miss that episode. Yes, we do not want to, yeah. So
I'll be here for that one. I may learn something.
Yes.
You always learn something in Grown Azz Men shit. If you don't learn
Always.
nothing, then we ain't doing our job.
So we will see you guys next Wednesday, and please check out our guests, follow them, and see what they got going on because these men are powerful.
And send the show to your folks and like the YouTube page as well. So follow us, follow the guys. Just do everything you can to support the show. We appreciate you all watching, and we will see you next week.
Yes.
With cocktails.
Yes.
Fresh out the oven, straight to the bank. Been paid, no smelling like bank. Seats, somebody died on them. Kitty looking like somebody cried on it. Ooh, what you looking at? What you looking at? Body like cinnamon roll. Icing on the top if you got it.